Hi, this is Kit with Scrapbook Warehouse. Today we are going to play with Prima water-soluble oil pastels. They are a great color medium and they are intensely pigmented, giving you darker hues. You can simply dilute them with water to give you lighter tones. If you're watching this video on Facebook or YouTube, the link to the products is either above or below in the description. If you're on our website, you can just scroll down. All the products are listed there. This is pretty much my usual setup for watercoloring. A piece of watercolor paper cut to a standard A2 card or 5.5 by 4.25, my preferred coloring medium, a couple of small dishes with clean water, and paper towel and a few brushes. Today I'm using a wider brush, about 3.25 inch, and a fine tip one for detail coloring. Before I start my background, I usually have a bit of an idea of what color will go where, so I go ahead and line up my pens or crayons in the order that I will work with them on the paper. My first job is to wet the brush and load it with pigment. My plan originally was to have 3 or 4 major colors that would blend into each other as they transition from one color to the next. As you can see, I ended up with 3 very definite and even color stripes, which was not the look I was going for. Lucky for me, this is actually a pretty easy mistake to fix, and I'm going to show you. Taking some extra blue pigment, I used that to move from the blue to the yellow stripes. That blends the colors together. Then I took some extra purple and blended it between the blue and the purple stripes. That gives me a better rainbow spectrum and more of the backdrop that I was looking for. Once I was done coloring in the panel, I gave it a dry with the heat gun before moving on to die cutting a window out of it. The rectangle die was placed toward the top of the card, which left me enough space at the bottom for a sentiment. I used archival ink to stamp my critter crew. The ink is smudge proof, so I can watercolor without worry. If you find it hard to stay within the lines when coloring stamped images, just stamp your image with pigment ink and embossing powder. That will give you a ridge that will help keep your coloring medium inside the lines. When I'm ready to color the images, I grab a wet, fine tip brush and load it up with pigment. I always like to test my color on a scrap paper before going directly onto my stamped image. That way I can use water to lighten up the intensity of the color or add more pigment if it's not dark enough. If you need to make a dozen or so of these colored critters, you can cut down your work by fully coloring a few of the critters and only adding accents to the rest of them. It saves time and still looks appealing. I won't make you suffer through the whole coloring episode, so I'll put on some music and we'll be back in a bit. For the party hats, I didn't want to introduce too many colors, so I colored one hat with the full pigment, and then dipped my brush into water to reduce the intensity of the color before coloring the next hat. Once my critters are colored, I just need to give the panel a quick dry before die cutting it. With the earlier card I made, I popped up the outside frame. For this one, I wanted to pop up the middle panel, so I glued down my outside frame to my card base. I changed my mind about which piece would be popped up, so I used the 3D pop-up dots on the critters instead. The back panel wasn't really standing out much, so I used the oxide inks and faded jeans just around the edge. That gave it the little something extra it needed. We always love to hear your feedback, so make sure to leave us a comment. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can just drop us a comment in the comment box, and if you're on our website, we've added a new commenting section at the bottom of each card class. Go ahead and tell us what you think. As well, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our channel to never miss a class. Thanks so much, and happy crafting!